Are you ready to dominate? Because it's time. From Philly to Vegas, Canada to Peru, and everywhere in between. It's time for the podcast that makes the offseason suck a hell of a lot less. From the creators of Dynasty Depot, the internet's only live auction site for Dynasty fantasy football teams. Here's your hosts, Nelson Verbit and Rick Taylor.
Yo, and welcome to Dynasty Depot Live. It's Season 1, Episode 12, Cram for the Exam. We're going to get into all the rookie information that you need tonight to get ready for this Thursday's NFL Draft and for your rookie drafts, which most of them begin the following weekend. And we have a very special guest that knows a hell of a lot more than I know about this shit, which is going to be pretty interesting. But first, I always have to bring in my man, my partner at Dynasty Depot, Ruthless Rick Taylor. Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, how you doing? Good evening, Nels.
Yeah, Ricky, how you doing, man? Exciting show this week, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. This is the best time of year in Dynasty. Getting ready for the NFL Draft, talking rookies, trying to figure out what players are going.
Technical difficulties. Had a little technical difficulty there. Sorry, yeah, I'm here, buddy. Let's see what we can do here. Let's get our wonderful, just back from an exotic trip, Fantasy Heather. Fantasy Heather, where are you?
Not yet. Tomorrow morning, I go.
Is that – no, but you already went. So, Rick, you and Heather have more in common than you think. So, Heather just came back from an extremely exotic camping trip. Okay. So I don't know shit about camping. I'm looking for like the Hyatt or where the Hyatt or the Ritz was, and she told me she's trailering this little house. Everything's little, this little house. And I said, I think I remember Rick went camping once, and like I had to ask her what she eats, if she lives off the land. Like I don't know a lot about camping, but Heather, tell us a little bit about that extravagant trip you just went on.
Right. So I hear you mocking me loud and clear, and that's fine. That's fine. To each their own.
I don't know anything about it. Ignorant.
Hey, I'm not mocking you, Heather. It's cool.
No, we did. We got a camper last year. The kids love it, but we do. We park the trailer. My husband goes out and catches dinner, and we cook it over the fire, and we dress in like robes, sort of like fur coats, like
Daniel Boone kind of stuff, right?
No, stop. No, we do all regular cooking. We drink a lot. We laugh a lot. We have fires. It's fun.
You wear like that squirrel hat with the feather thing going down, the tail going down
like Daniel Boone.
Yeah, that's enough. That's enough camping talk. So tonight, we are going to move on. So this is really exciting because I met this guy when I was doing an early dog and pony show on the circuit on Dynasty Rewind, and this guy hit it off real good with him. Guy just knows a lot of stuff. And I said, if we ever become somebody, which I guess we finally have become somebody, get this guy on our show, he'd grace us with his presence. So from the Dynasty Rewind, Mr. Nate Christian, welcome, my friend.
I'm excited to be here. You got me in the busiest week of the year for me. But it's like I said, it's Christmas this week. I am so excited. I am happy to be here.
Aw.
It's awesome, man. So what are you up to? You're on Dynasty Rewind. You're writing for nerds. What are you doing?
Yeah, so of course I'm doing a bunch of stuff over at Dynasty Rewind. We have a Patreon over there that has $1 subscription to get into the group chat, and then $5 to get articles and IDP rankings, Devi rankings, Dynasty rankings, a little bit of everything, and so much more coming down, extra podcasts and stuff. Also doing articles and videos over at Dynasty Owner, which is a really cool platform that you have to use salary cap for. And then I'm doing rankings over at Dynasty Nerds too, like full Dynasty rankings, like 400 players. So a little bit of everything. Tonight after this podcast, we got Dynasty Rewind going live. So staying busy, man. Staying busy.
This guy's got a lot of Alan Seslowski in him. America's content provider. Right, Nate's got a lot of stuff going on out there.
A lot going on, man.
He does. We put him and Alan on one show. might be like an hour of just plugging the companies that they're working for, man. It's
But
cool.
if you have that much knowledge, it must be shared. So,
of course.
so that's what you do.
shared. I mean, you got to have a lot of talent, man, which you really do, and we're really excited to get going. So we are going to just start banging into this rookie stuff tonight. NFL draft Thursday night, really, really exciting. Lot of stuff happening with that. A lot of the unknown, as always, and then most of us have our rookie drafts the following weekend. So we're going to try to, even though we're not a true content show, we're going to try to get some content out there to the people tonight of what's going on and get into the mind of Nate, get into Rick's been doing his homework, and we'll see where this thing whole meshes, and we'll cap it off tonight with a little Ricky Nate mock draft here. Let's see what you guys think, where people are going before the landing spots, and we're going to talk a little bit about landing spots later. So when people are drafting, where there's novices drafting like myself, I know nothing about fantasy football, so I like to tier my players, okay? So most of the guys, they'll rank the tier, okay? They'll go down the list. Their draft time will come up. They'll see who's available, who's not available, and Nate's not available. Oh, Nate's back.
Sorry, my laptop came unplugged. I said to plug it in real quick.
This is a mess, but we're keep going. Right. We'll see who's available, but Nate's not available, and that's a problem. So, okay, we don't have to worry about Najee on Thursday. We got to worry about Nate on Tuesday, which is a problem. So let's start.
Just kidding.
That was her.
Okay, Heather. Fantasy Heather with the buttons, Nate. It's interesting.
Scared me for a second.
Yeah, you don't know what can happen here. So we'll keep it moving. So tier rankings. Is Nate spinning?
No.
Okay, here we go. All right, let's go. We're going to talk about tier rankings. So let's bring up the tier rankings for the quarterbacks, okay? Not a ton, but there's big names right at the top, right? So let's talk about maybe you're drafting super flex. Where's that tier break? There's 5 quarterbacks that we're all presuming are going in high in the first round Thursday night, right? So where's that break where – this is really the question. I want this for myself. Where's the break where, okay, Lawrence here, but where does Najee or the RB1 – great article today, by the way. Did you see what I texted you, Rick?
Yes.
Rappaport puts out there things.
I think your connection's stopping now.
Okay, it's back. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not good, man. So where's the break where the first RB1 comes in here? Okay, talk to me about that, Nate.
All right, so this like in a perfect world, I really think that quarterback value in Superflex leagues is the highest. And if in my rankings for Superflex, I'm putting all 5 quarterbacks before any other position player. I think that in Superflex leagues, they're that important, and every single one of these guys has the potential to be an incredible fantasy football star. Most of them have rushing ability, and then Mac Jones, who doesn't have as much rushing ability, we saw what he can do with a good team around him and the stats that he can put up. So I really think that, in a perfect world when everyone's just looking at value, all 5 quarterbacks should go first off the board before Najee Harris or Jamar Chase or Devonta Smith. But that's not how it goes usually in Superflex leagues, because you have someone who needs a running back, who needs a wide receiver, and they're going to reach for that position because they need it. And, hey, sometimes that's what you need to win. If you have 4 good quarterbacks on your team, you don't really need Zach Wilson. But, so I like those 5 guys definitely at the top.
So, Rick, question for you. Are you putting all 5 of these? Obviously, Lawrence going 1. We can take him off the board. Are you putting the other 4 guys all in the same tier? And we're gonna rank these guys and mess around with it a little later, but are you putting them in the same tier?
Oh, my thought has changed since reading everything on the internet and watching shows and stuff over the last couple of months. I had Justin Fields as kind of in that second tier, watching him in the college football playoffs. I'm a Penn State guy, so I've seen him play against Penn State, and he's pretty impressive athletically and some of the throws he makes. But, all the people that are experts seem to have some knocks on him, and they put him in that second tier. And, I've kind of followed suit and dropped him down with the Zach Wilsons and the Trey Lance. But if it came down to it, I'd put Wilson at the top of that tier. I'm sorry, Fields at the top of that tier. Wilson and Lance, and then Jones, I think, is in a little bit lower tier, probably a couple rounds later than those guys if you're doing a startup draft.
Okay, that's fair enough. But I mean, the interesting thing now, what about these two guys at the bottom here, Trask and Mon? I'm seeing them going in the drafts that we're doing right now. I've done 20 of them. Rick's done about 15 of them. They're getting drafted. What's the prospects on these guys, Nate?
Yeah, so these guys are, outside of the first round, quarterbacks are so landing spot dependent. Last year, at the beginning of the NFL draft process for the 2020 NFL draft, Jacob Eason was getting round one hype. I don't know if you remember, he was in the top 15, top 10 sometimes. And, he fell to the second or third round or whatever it was and got drafted by the Colts. Kyle Trask, at the beginning of this NFL draft offseason, he was getting first round hype. Now he's a solid second rounder, So we have that movement because we start to realize, okay, we dig deeper into the film. We see the flaws, we see the potential, and we kind of get that, more solid idea. But, a guy like Jacob Eason, what's he in Dynasty now? I mean, at best, a long dart throw in case, Wentz doesn't work out. So, right. I mean, if Trask and Mon go in the second, third round, that's most likely what they are. They're just a handcuff for an aging quarterback at best. But hey, we got like Dak Prescott, we got Russell Wilson, we got those mid-round quarterbacks that.
Right, if you're telling me that they might have second-round capital, okay, that's something. Second-round capital. Jalen Hurts was second-round capital last year, and look what happened. And it happens plenty of times. So. Those guys, talent-wise, Trask seems to be the preferred quarterback right now of the second round. He's
more pro-ready. I think that's the two quarterbacks here, Trask and Mon, are very different quarterbacks. Trask, if he goes to like the Washington football team in the second round, I'm all about it. He can sit behind Fitz, and he could be the starter next year. I mean, I could totally see that happening. He has enough talent. Mond is a guy that definitely needs to be developed. He has a lot of physical tools. He's a big guy, big arm, mobile, but he never improved through college.
Right.
So, he's got to be developed.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think the landing spot on these quarterbacks, like you said, if they get behind a guy that has Fitzpatrick, even Roethlisberger, if Trask comes in and sits behind him, I'm not sure they would take him that high, but I'm interested versus a younger Russ Wilson type of guy.
Right. I'm kind of feeling Trask probably gets drafted somewhere in the second round, and Mon's probably could be a day 3 pick, late day 2 pick. Let's move on to running backs here. So, man, this is the toughest thing for me in doing all these drafts. I mean, I see these guys going all over the board. There is no rhyme or reason to any of this. Okay. Tier these guys up for me, Nate.
All right. So in my tiers, I have Najee Harris in his own tier. I think there's that big of a jump as a prospect. So this is pre-landing spot, just my tape scores. I think Najee Harris is by far their RB1 in this class. He absolutely dominated the SEC. I mean, there's none of these guys have the profile that Najee Harris does. And then that second tier, I have Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams, and Michael Carter. I think those are 3 guys I can definitely see being starters in the NFL. I'm not too worried about where they end up. I think they can, make something happen no matter where they go. And then
so you have Michael Carter in that tier too, right?
Oh, I love Michael Carter. Michael Carter is my RB3 over Javonte Williams, actually.
Wow.
I have Michael Carter graded out almost exactly the same as Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And then that third tier is where it gets really murky. I kind of have Gainwell, Sermon, and Hubbard there. Those are guys I think landing spot dependent could be something. And after that, all the rest of those guys in this dart throw tier of you hope that they get a chance, but I don't think any of them have the talent to make something happen, like to beat out a starter who's already there. They're guys who are just going to have to live off opportunity, I think.
When you get into that third tier, and those guys are going to be low to mid second round picks in rookie drafts coming up, right?
Yep.
So you get in that, it seems like there's a flaw or a question mark. Like Gainwell, nobody can get a weight on the guy. Sermon did it for a half a year. Hubbard did it for 1 year, 3 years, 2.5 years ago. So there's so many question marks with these guys. It's, yes, landing spots. So me and Rick were talking today, and if the guy's good and has talent, the landing spots to me don't matter because they're going to get on the field. Whether it's Taylor getting on the field a ton halfway through the year or Swift, or this, that, and the other thing. The guys with the talent make their way onto the field, and it really doesn't matter where they are. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. That's why I think it is so important to do mock drafts before the draft and to do like your own rankings before the draft, because talent definitely trumps situation. I mean, you look at guys and 2 years into the career, the entire team is different. And you never know what's going to happen. Eagles draft another quarterback and then Carson Wentz is gone and got Jalen Hurts there. I mean, You wouldn't have thought anything about that 2 years ago. You wouldn't have expected Andrew Luck to retire. I mean, just so much that changes every year with our situations and free agency and stuff. So I'm all about the talent over situation, but I think at some point you get to the prospects that are a dart throw and they don't have that talent that's necessarily going to trump the situation. So you're kind of looking at these guys and you're like, okay, instead of that 4 to 5 year window for my running back, this fourth tier of running backs, it's a 1 to 2 year window. What can I get out of them? I'm picking them in the third, fourth round of my rookie drafts. Let me just get at least like a couple flex weeks out of them.
Let me ask you about somebody here. Go ahead, Rick. Go ahead.
I want to ask you about, adding on to the Najee thing. So he's 23, right?
Yeah, he's a bit older.
He's a bit older. So, when you think he's 2 years older than ETN, I think Najee can come in and he'll be the most ready year one. What do you think about long-term ceiling and longevity for a dynasty when you compare ETN and Harris?
Yeah. So for myself in dynasty leagues, after a first contract, I don't care about a running back anymore. I don't want Melvin Gordon on my team. I don't want Chris Carson on my team. Even Aaron Jones, I'm flipping him for a younger guy because we constantly see these second contract running backs. They get like 1 more year in their second contract. And then like by the second or third year, they're chopped liver. I mean, Todd Gurley has some other issues, but like we see these guys drop off so quickly with running backs. They hit that ceiling and then they just drop. So I'm not worried about it. Najee, I can get 4 years out of him, 5 years out of him if he's a first round pick. Second contract comes around, I don't want him on my team anymore. I'm going to try to flip him a year before. And then there's like Javonte Williams, who's like, I think he's 21. So he's a full 2 years younger than Najee. People are excited about the age thing with Dynasty, of course. Yeah. But I've looked into the analytics. I'm not a big analytical guy, but I really do appreciate what analytics can do and what you can look into. And there's nothing to really prove that it's age. It's actually more years into the league. If a guy comes in the league at 20, a guy versus a guy who comes in the league at 23, they both play for 5 years. They both get that wear and tear. That 3 year difference doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's that 5 years in the league.
Right. I think I'm thinking more along the lines of just physically developed. A 20-year-old kid versus 23-year-old is probably further along in his peak.
Yeah, Najee can come in day one and just absolutely dominate.
So rookie players are like, it's in like dog years.
Yeah, kind of
like different age, like.
Yeah.
I mean, they come out at all different times. I don't know who the youngest on the list is here, but
I mean, Terry McLaurin came out. He was a 23-year-old rookie, I believe. He's 25 now. What are you going to do? Sell him? No, he's going to be incredible for the next 5 years. I mean, you don't need to sell him for, some guy who's 20. I mean, I don't think it really matters.
Let me ask somebody. Go ahead, Rick.
I was going to ask about the other guy here that. So I agree with you, Najee, Etienne, Williams, Carter. And then the guy I've been grabbing a lot of is Sermon, because if you look at film on everyone else, he's the only guy to me that jumps off the screen. As it's not real consistent, but there's been some occasions where he's been the best running back that I've seen in college football, and other times he disappears. So I think he has that capability. You've watched a lot more film. Do you see the same thing?
I love Trey Sermon. He's actually my RB5 over Kenneth Gainwell and Chuba Hubbard. But he really is a tale of two tapes. If we get the Trey Sermon that we saw at the end of the year for Ohio State, then the NFL is going to have to watch out because he's going to be really good. Mm-hmm. But if we get the Trey Sermon that we saw at Oklahoma all these years, he's not a guy that's a huge difference maker. He's just a kind of another guy. So it's a big question mark with Trey Sermon. But if he brings to the table what we saw at the end of last year, I love him and what he can do at the next level.
Cool. And I'll follow up from Rick because that's where I was going. Is I've drafted a lot of Gainwell. Okay. Everybody knows, he was ahead of Gibson, and everybody knows his history. What's he bringing to the table here? And what's his prospect for being maybe a late day 2 pick, day 1 pick, day 2 pick?
I think Gainwell has a lot of upside. I do think he is kind of going to be limited to a pass catching role at the next level. I don't really see him as a 3-down back, a little bit because of his size, but also I just don't think he offers as much as a runner as some of these other guys. He doesn't have that vision, the patience between the tackles. He's kind of just used on outside stretches and little dumps off. He does play wide receiver a little bit, so you can put him out there like maybe in a J.D. McKissick role we saw with Washington football team last year, or putting him out in the slot. I think he's really landing spot dependent. He's talented, but he's going to need an offensive coordinator that's going to put him in a position to get touches in space.
You put him on a team like Seattle or something like that, he do some damage out there.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the wide receivers. So again, a little bit of a mess. The tiers have kind of defined themselves, right? But again, you see that third tier that I'm going to talk about, and we'll talk about. It's just a hodgepodge. So go ahead and tier these guys up for us, and then we'll get into it as we get going.
And if Nate, if you don't know who Lamar Chase is, that's Jamar's cousin.
Lamar's cousin.
Lamar. Heather, what's wrong?
Did I mess up?
No, it's perfect.
I assumed it was Nelson, his typing skills. So that's why I brought it up.
Oh, I actually had to.
That's good, Heather. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah.
Lamar can play, man.
Yeah, Lamar's good. I have a top 2 tier at the wide receiver position this year. I think it's Jamar Chase and Devonta Smith. They're that top tier. You can't go wrong with either one of those guys. That second tier for me is going to be Jalen Waddle, Rondale Moore, and Rashad Bateman. I think those are 3 guys that are ready to come into the league and put up some good numbers. After that, I have a very small tier. I have Terrace Marshall Jr. and Tylan Wallace actually graded out exactly the same. So they're kind of the last guys that I have. Well, I'll throw Dimey Brown in with those guys.
I'm sorry, did you put Elijah Moore in there?
No, I'm not a huge Elijah Moore fan.
Wow. Okay.
So that third tier for me is Terrace Marshall, Tylan Wallace, and Dimey Brown. After that, I get to Elijah Moore, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kadarius Toney, probably Amari Rodgers, guys who are more slot receivers who I don't think have as much upside. Elijah Moore, I know everyone loves his analytical profile, but on film, he doesn't wow me. Most of the time, he's a good route runner, but he was used in motion almost 100% of the time to get open. Now that could just be a scheme thing, but I want to see him do it at the next level before I say that he's some great wide receiver.
He's going to play in the slot.
Yeah, he will play in the slot. People are comping him to like Tyler Lockett, I think, but I don't necessarily see that. I think he's more of just a slot receiver who can do very well with a lot of volume, but I don't think he's a guy that's going to take over a game or anything. And then that final tier of just dart throws, Dwayne Eskridge, he's a small school guy. He's like this, talking about age. This guy's like 24 years old. He played 5 years of college football. Tamorian Terry, I have no interest in. He's a size speed freak, but he's not a wide receiver. He's an athlete. I feel kind of similar about Seth Williams and Nico Collins, where they're more athletic than they are wide receivers. Not a big Nico guy, but my friend over at Dynasty Rewind, Matty Big Chest, he loves Nico Collins. I think he has him as a wide receiver 8. So there could be something there. If he's really good, I'll admit I was wrong and missed on him, but not too excited about those big size freaks. They just have too much developmental to go.
So, guy, first thing that pops off in my head, in just about every mock draft you've seen, Tony's going in the first round. Okay, almost every mock draft you've seen, everyone. The Saints he's listened to, this, that, and the other thing. And what do you have? 1 year of solid production, right? At Florida, been some red flags with his past history. Is that a guy that's going to just fly up the board in rookie drafts if he goes to the Saints in the first round?
Oh yeah, I think he's going to be one of those guys that gets a lot of post-draft hype. He's getting a lot of round 1 hype, like you said, or early second round, and that's going to really push him up draft boards in those rookie drafts. He's good, but he did do it for 1 year. He's raw. He's very athletic, but he's raw. And part of I'll defend him a little bit for his 1 year. He came into college as a quarterback. The team didn't know where to use him. They moved him around. They didn't, really develop him that well. And then he popped off this year. So if a team takes him and they think they can develop him, there's something there, I think. But I'm not big on taking developmental guys when I think there's a lot of safer guys around here that, are pro ready and have a high ceiling as well.
Let me hit him with one more, Rick. I know you're chomping here. Does Rondale Moore's size concern you?
Not at all. I don't think he's going to be, an alpha wide receiver with that size, obviously. But there's been some talk about teams using him out of the backfield a bit. He's I like Rondale Moore a lot. I really, really do. But he is more landing spot dependent, I think, for his fantasy impact than some of these other receivers. As I say, talent trumps situation, but situation matters with coaching more than like your depth chart.
Right.
So, if Rondale Moore goes to the Saints, I absolutely love that fit. Sean Payton's going to give him the ball. He's going to manufacture touches. And Rondale Moore can be, develop into a very good wide receiver. But he's a guy that relies more on, getting those manufactured touches and doing something after the catch than actually constantly getting open down the field. He's got a great release at the line of scrimmage, so I like to use him on the underneath routes like slants. He kills it on those things. But I want to see him be developed a bit more. So landing spot really matters for that first year or two.
Give me a comp for him, will you?
It's a hard guy to comp, but if I had to go with a comp, I'd go with Steve Smith.
Okay. Pretty damn good player right there. Go ahead, Rick. Fire what you need.
A lot of things going on here. So Amari Rodgers, how would you compare him to Moore? They're both smaller guys. Rodgers has a little more build to him than some of the other guys on this chart. Why do you put him so much higher than a Rodgers?
So Amari Rodgers, he just doesn't have the production that Moore has. Mm-hmm. He also, I just wasn't impressed too much with his tape. For a bigger guy, like people are comping him to like Deebo Samuel because he's a bigger receiver that, does after the catch. But he's a guy that I think just doesn't have as much ceiling. He's not as athletic on the field as I think some people want to make him out to be. And I just don't think that he offers that upside that Moore does after the catch. He's a guy that can make things happen, but more so just with his size than, elusiveness and special teams that Moore does. I think Rodgers is just a bit more limited. And that's why I have him in that same tier as Elijah Moore and Amon-Ra St. Brown, guys who are solid prospects, but I just don't think have that ceiling that we're looking for in Dynasty Fantasy Football.
It's going to be really interesting when we do our little mock draft at the end here of where you put these guys. You mentioned also that you have in a pretty high tier, Ty Wallace. What do you like about him? Tell me about him.
Yeah, so Tylan Wallace, he's not the biggest guy out there, but I do like his ability to make contested catches. He's a guy that could have come out last year and done
Right.
pretty well with the NFL draft, but he was injured, so he wanted to come back and show out that he was healthy and ready to go. He's 5'11", but he plays bigger than that. So I like receivers who play bigger than they are. That's something with Rondale Moore. He's 5'7", but as small as he looks on the field, he looks and plays a lot bigger than 5'7". He's out there running into people, running over people. But Tylan Wallace, he has great hands, strong hands, and just that contested catchability. I think it's really impressive for the size that he is. Like Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is 6 foot, but he's one of the best contested catch guys in this draft, if not the best. And at some point, if your guy has enough technique to win those 50-50 balls, there's a couple of extra inches don't matter if they can time their jump well and leverage the defender.
I think we're on Nelson delay here.
Nelson's spinning. Do you have anything else, Rick?
No.
Is Rick spinning?
No, I'm not. I was waiting for it to come back.
Rick is spinning.
I think it's a little strange with this draft class. There's a lot of guys that have that slight frame, and you're trying to find comps. It's easy to find Jamar Chase comps, but Devontae Smith, Marvin Harrison, Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot of guys, but my goodness, did he just dominate the competition last year.
Do you want me to move on to tight ends?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hold on, Nelson. I got to get you out. There we go.
I'm back.
He's back.
I kind of like taking a break in the middle of these shows. It's
You know what? It was really nice and quiet. It was.
There was no cursing tonight, man.
We should do it more often, I think.
Good. I got moved to the bottom of the pyramid here. I'm more comfortable there. I'm moving Nate up. Nate's doing a pretty good job, so I get it.
Moving on up.
You have ranking.
Moving up.
Nate's moving up in the ranking.
Nate's it's the Jeffersons, man. We're
New
moving
tier.
up, baby. Let's move it up.
Yep.
To the tight ends. Mr. Pitts, generational talent, they say. You buying that generational talent? It's a
I am,
big term, brother.
Yeah, generational that's something to throw around, man. I don't like to throw around generational very often. But Kyle Pitts, he's about as close as you get to a generational talent at tight end. We haven't seen a guy that athletic since Vernon Davis. Vernon Davis was a ridiculously athletic tight end, and we look back at Vernon Davis's career very differently if he came into the league now. So Kyle Pitts, tier 1 by himself, by far. And then I kind of have Freiermuth and Jordan in their own tier. I actually like Jordan a lot. I know people have been really soured on him recently. He didn't have a good pro day, and I understand, we want athletic tight ends, but I think Brevin Jordan's a talent. He's been producing since day one in college as a freshman. And Freiermuth is a great tight end too. He's very NFL ready. And then Hunter Long, and then there's another guy like Tommy Tremble. There's kind of that third tier of tight ends. There's a couple guys there. I know some people like Trey McKitty. Hunter Long's another pro-ready guy, but I don't know if he offers as much upside as any of these other guys, just athletically and
Nate, I've seen him mocked a bunch to Jacksonville in the second round. Something like that goes down. He's going to pop, right? Yeah,
if he goes to Jacksonville in the second round, people are going to love it. We're talking about Hunter Long, right?
Yeah,
and I think that'll be higher ADP than I'm willing to spend on him.
Okay, that's good to know. Let's move on. So we talked earlier a little bit. Landing spots not as important as talent. Blah blah blah. But I picked out a couple of guys, and Heather, graphics wizard of 8 weeks. She's been doing this 8 weeks.
Nate, you're going to be really impressed with what I've done here.
I am so ready.
When we pulled Heather out of the restaurant business to come be part of Dynasty Depot, produce our shows, and be our customer relations person, I didn't know she had this kind of talent, man. So I said, I want to talk a little bit about landing spots. And then she throws this at me today. Go ahead, Heather. Show off. Woo. These guys all in the airport, driving planes. Where are they landing?
Photoshop extraordinary.
They're
landing.
Do you think there's a better program, though, where I can make the heads a little more seamless superimposed on the bodies. If anybody has any suggestions, please send them.
Rondell Moore is not a lot bigger than this pilot walking at me with the Samsonite suitcase, man. It's about spec right there. So let's talk about landing spots. Give me ideal landing spots for these guys, and I'll go to both you guys here. Let's start with our pilot in the middle, the Samsonite man, Rondell Moore. We talked about the Saints a little bit earlier. Give me some ideal spots for this guy.
Yeah, I like the Saints a lot for Moore because I think that's, like I said before, if he goes to the Saints, Sean Payton's going to get him the ball. Some other landing spots for Moore. I think people have been mentioning the Green Bay Packers because they need a wide receiver, and that's kind of about the spot that Rondell Moore is going in the draft. I like that one just because of volume. I don't know if he necessarily is, perfect fit for that team. Actually, it might be kind of crazy, but at 30, it's not going to make it to the Chiefs because they traded. I just remembered they traded with my Ravens,
they're
not going to be picking them at 31 anymore. But that would have been something, Rondell Moore and Tyreek Hill with Travis Kelce in the middle. I would have liked that a lot.
Good stuff.
You think he goes? He goes mid? Or I'd say the 20s in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
I personally think that if I had to predict where Moore goes, I think it's gonna be an early day 2 pick. Okay. I really like the Jacksonville Jaguars at the beginning of the second round picking up Rondell Moore if they're looking for Urban Meyer's Curtis Samuel.
Yep.
That's a guy because I know people have been saying that Laviska Shenault is that guy for Urban Meyer, but I think Laviska Shenault is a lot better than that and profiles as an X receiver, an outside receiver that they can rely on. So, if they could put DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault on the outside and then have Rondell Moore in the middle out of the slot moving around, it'd be really hard for Trevor Lawrence not to do well right away.
Yeah. I had him penciled in as interesting spots being the Patriots or the Bucks. I think the Bucks with they have Evans, they have Godwin, 2 big-bodied receivers. Somebody who could, you don't know what's going on with Antonio Brown. He isn't signed yet, right?
No.
Nope.
So they don't have really a slot guy that can catch the short passes and turn them into gains. And then Patriots need receivers. I think somebody who could help out in the short passing game, make some plays. I think those would be interesting landing spots.
Let's talk about Javonte. Obviously, Pittsburgh, right? That would be one hell of a spot if that was their guy. And, Pittsburgh's never drafted a running back in the first round, right? So Talk to me about Javonte, some other big spots for him.
Yeah, I like the Steelers a lot, of course. Sounds like they like Najee, though. That's what the report came out, I believe, today or yesterday. But I like Javonte to the Dolphins, actually, if they're going to go ahead and replace Myles Gaskin. I think he fits that offense they got down there. Also really like him to the Atlanta Falcons. With the new coach there, the new coach is from the Tennessee Titans. So I think Javonte Williams, is a guy they could give 20, 25 touches a game out of the backfield and kind of rely on and then have Matt Ryan working off the play action and stuff. I think he'd fit that offense very well.
You know what kind of sucks is that you talk about these spots and they're dream spots, right? And then draft night, you're like, oh, really he went there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they are great spots. I mean, but I was looking for the Dolphins last year as a dream spot and it never developed, right?
Yep.
So
I will say last year.
How about Mr. Gainwell?
I was all about Jonathan Taylor to the Colts and all about Clyde Edwards-Helaire to the Chiefs, and that worked out quite well.
Sure did.
There's a question, Nelson.
I don't know why they would want to replace Myles Gaskin. I would not replace Myles Gaskin. The guy is cheap, and he's a really good running back. I would put my money somewhere else. But I'm not an NFL team.
No, he did a hell of a job when he was in there. I think his durability is a question mark, Gaskins, and that could be a problem for him as he moves on through his career, turns into more of a third down back because of his stability there. Gainwell, what's a good spot for him?
So a big spot that I like for Gainwell is the Arizona Cardinals. I think he could go in there and immediately fight for snaps with Chase Edmonds and James Conner. I don't think either one of those guys are, that much better than Kenneth Gainwell, that he would be stuck behind him. And that's an offense that's quick moving, lots of passing for the backfield. I think he could really thrive in that offense.
And we're gonna brush past Elijah Moore because you're not a fan. Freiermuth, interesting tight end prospect, right? Big Rick Taylor guy. Rick Taylor, Mr. Penn State himself. I got to sit here. Freiermuth driving the plane there. That gets Rick excited right there. So give me.
I should have put a sombrero on him.
Listen, this guy's going in the second round. Okay, it's a matter of where he.
Freiermuth going in the second round. So tell us, Rick.
I'd like to see him.
Yeah.
I think he'd fit well in Buffalo. Actually, I don't know if he makes it to them in the second round, but I think he would be a great fit there with just like personalities, a New England guy, and he would bring an added like a toughness one to the run game and the passing game. They don't have a great pass catching tight end right now, so I think that'd be a good fit.
I like that fit. My favorite fit for Pat Freiermuth is the Indianapolis Colts. I kind of comp him to Zach Ertz. That's kind of the player he is. He's not a guy that's going to stretch the field, but he's going to catch a lot of first downs, and he's a good blocker. So I think the Colts, not only because of the Carson Wentz connection that could probably happen, but I think he just fits that team and how they play.
I like it. That's a great call there. Moving on. So, boys, getting toward the end, toward our mock draft here. So, great information, guys. Thank you very much. Our sleeper segment. Okay, everybody's always looking for the sleeper. Can anybody hear me? Because I'm just spinning. That's exciting. It's awesome. So, sleeper segment. So, who's not going in the first two rounds that Rick and Nate are looking at, and they might pick them the end of the second round? Okay, let's put up our sleeper segment. Rick, Heather, put that up for us, will you, please?
You guys ready?
Yeah. We're ready.
This is more graphic.
Yeah, so we were able to get Bert and Ernie and get Nate and Rick. They sleep in separate beds with the Bert and Ernie beds there. And it's their sleeper segment. Sombrero Rick and
I love it.
and paused Nelson. So
actually, man. Sorry, Nelson. Horrible.
Nelson didn't pay his internet bill this month. It's okay. He's probably hooked up to mine right now across the street and having trouble with all the bandwidth.
I want to hear Rick's sleepers first.
All right. Actually, my sleep.
Looks like Rick woke up first, so we're gonna let Rick go first. It looked like the alarm. He jumped up first.
So let me see.
Right.
Yeah. Nate's like, go ahead.
Nate's already taken my sleeper earlier in the segment. Was Tylan Wallace. I don't think he's going in the first two rounds of rookie drafts, and he profiles as a guy that could be a wide receiver one on a team, and come out and be back end wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 in year 1. So that's my sleeper.
Yeah, I have a couple deep sleepers for you guys. Guys you might not even have heard of yet. And I'm talking these guys, you might not be picking in your third round, might be picking them in your 4th, 5th round. Hey, you might get one of these guys off your waiver wire. But these are guys I like pre-draft, and some of them I'm just hoping get drafted just so that I don't feel so bad next week. But these are guys I liked on tape. So probably the guy I'm known for liking the most is Puka Williams out of Kansas. I love Puka Williams. I think he is one of the most patient running backs in the NFL draft. I could talk about this guy forever because he's just super athletic. I mean, he ran a 4.3 at his pro day, and that's the speed that we see on film. He's patient, which you don't usually see with athletic running backs. Usually they're just running straight on, trying to find that hole and get down the field. But he has great vision. He offers a lot of pass catching upside. At his pro day, the 49ers are there, and I really like the 49ers fit. If he ends up there like in the 6th, 7th round, there's something that could come out of that. They asked him to be a slot receiver, take kick returns, as well as being out of the backfield. So I think he offers a lot of versatility. Just matters, what that draft capital is and what team he ends up on. At wide receiver, I am way too high on Jamon Osborne out of Texas A&M. Raise your hand if you've heard of Jamon Osborne before. So
Can you spell it?
yeah, he opted out of the 2020 season. Really hurt him because Texas A&M had a pretty good season. And if he was catching passes from Kellen Mond this past year, his draft stock would be through the roof right now. This guy, he is a great route runner. He's physical. He's got a good frame. I think he's a guy that could profile as a wide receiver 1 on a team. But the thing is, he's going to be a late day 3 pick. He has to get the opportunity. I like his chances if he gets to a wide open depth chart, say like the Houston Texans. But these guys I love so much, but it's just not going to work out for him draft capital wise. But I like Jamon Osborne a lot too. Another wide receiver is Marlon Williams at a University of Central Florida. That's a guy that was catching passes from Dylan Gabriel this year, who's actually leading the nation in receiving yards until he opted out of the season halfway through. He's kind of a bigger guy, kind of like that Amari Rodgers mold where he's a bit bigger, and once he catches the ball, he runs like a running back. Didn't test well as pro day, though, so that definitely knocked him down a whole bunch, but he should be drafted. I expect him to be drafted like in the 5th, 6th round. One other wide receiver I like a lot is DeMonte Coxey. This is a big guy. He's 6'2", 6'3", played for Memphis and did really well. Once again, another guy who opted out of the 2020 season. This is a trend where those guys who opted out, outside of like Jamar Chase, most of them, it really hurt their draft stock because they weren't able to play this year. He did not test well at this pro day either. That's another trend with these guys I like for some reason. They ended up being unathletic, which really kind of pisses me off because you're going to tell me you opted out for an entire season and couldn't get your 40 time, looking decent. What the hell were you doing?
Right.
Good point.
But DeMonte Cox is another guy I like. I think he should be drafted as well just because he has those physical tools. He's a big guy. So I think some team will take a chance on him.
These guys are like 5th, 6th, 7th round dart throws.
These guys are late dart throws. Watch the landing spot. If one of those guys gets to a wide open depth chart, like I said, the Houston Texans, where they got no one there, watch out. They could make it something happen.
Well, it must be good information because Rick Taylor rarely grabs a pen, puts his head down. So I'm guessing he's writing shit down.
Yeah, when you get into rounds 4 through 7, I'll take any piece of advice I can get. Even in the late rounds now in these startups, we're in like round 23.
Yep.
And who the hell do you take? So appreciate it, Nate.
And T.Y. Hilton in the 20th round, everyone. I don't know why. But I'd rather take a shot on some of these guys. Let's move on, Heather. Let's get into it. Let's find out where these two guys are going to be taking these people in the drafts coming up. So we put together a little mock draft. We're going to go snake draft. We're going to go standard format here. Whoever you like, you got your lists in front of you, who you drafted. I'm interested to see how this comes out, and then we'll talk about it at the end. We're going to give it to Nate, right, to lead us off with 101. If you could announce the player for Heather and the position so she can find that player, it would be really cool.
All right, I can do that. So this is a 1 quarterback PPR league. We're doing the 1.5 for
1.5 FFPC, 1.5 per reception.
All right, this is an easy pick for me. This is Najee Harris, running back from Alabama. He is the tier 1 running back for me in his own tier, and I don't care what the landing spot is. He's going to dominate right away, and a guy I want on my team.
I like it. Let's see if Heather, can we get that?
It's not typing on me.
It isn't typing on you.
It's not.
Well, we'll move on and we'll regroup as you figure this out, Heather.
There we go.
And there he is. Remember, there he is. We're gonna make it a color, Heather. Remember, red, running back, red, Heather. Here we go. Ricky, start talking to us about 1.02.
Yeah, I think I'm going ETN here just because positional wise, I think Chase is probably the better talent. I think has a better chance to succeed, be long-term wide receiver 1, but running backs are hard to come by. And you got to get them when you can if you have that high of a pick. So I'm going.
So
ETN.
I'll commentate why I am still not spinning here. So that's book 1-2, okay, pre-draft. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now comes the most interesting pick to me in the draft right here. And I'm going to give it to you, Nate. Who do you got here?
Yeah, so there's my top two running backs right there. So I'm gonna hop over to wide receiver. I'm gonna grab Devonta Smith. He's my wide receiver one. I love Jamar Chase. Don't get me wrong, but not many times you get a wide receiver who is so dominant that he wins the Heisman. Devonta Smith is a guy that I could see have a Justin Jefferson rookie year. He's that good. He's that pro ready. I love Devonta Smith and what he brings.
That's awesome. And Rick, I'm sure you're hoping most of these mocks fall to you like this right here. So you can probably grab your guy, but still the same two guys are on the board here that I would have considered at 103. You go ahead, Rick, with 104.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, some of it depends on team makeup, right, where you have a gap. It's hard to find a dominant tight end in these tight end premium leagues. But with that said, I'm going Chase here. I think that he is.
Is that Lamar Chase?
Lamar Chase.
Lamar Chase.
His cousin.
We'll get Jamar
Quarterback / wide receiver. Correct. Lamar Chase. Nate, 105 is probably leaving you to a pretty good tight end here, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's an easy pick here. It's Kyle Pitts. Especially with the extra little bonus with the receptions, even without that bonus, I'd be picking him here. He's that good. And I think he's a guy, we don't see tight ends come in year one and dominate, but I think he's a guy that has that potential.
That's what I was just going to ask you about. It's year 3, 4 before you see tight ends break in and tough to use them.
Yeah, we saw Evan Engram come in and have a pretty good rookie year. I think Kyle Pitts can do it.
Okay.
Gets interesting now. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I'm going Javonte here. Pretty, he's consensus number 3. There's some people that want, like Carter. I like Carter. But again, getting a top 3 running back at 106 is great value.
Okay. It's probably my pick there also. Go ahead, Nate.
Yep. So I'm going to grab my running back 3 in the class. I'm going to grab Michael Carter. Like I said, he comps kind of similar to Clyde Edwards-Helaire for me. Very similar graded out. I think he's more bursty and has more athletic ability than Clyde. Clyde's a bit more powerful, but that pass catching upside, how do you not want that in fantasy football?
Man, I got to tell you something. So that pick right there is going to make the 8, 9, 10 guys pretty happy because I don't have him going that high, but you're very high on him, and with the right landing spot, you can go there or higher. We saw the 5 backs last year. Me and Rick were talking about earlier. Cam Akers we were taking in the 6th round of rookie of maiden drafts, and then what happened? So right now he's going 1.06, 1.07 in the maiden drafts right now. Mm-hmm. So Michael Carter could be exactly in that situation. Next pick, please.
Yeah, this one going receiver here. It's a tough one between Waddle and Bateman, but I think Bateman has the more pro ready physique style. He's I just think he translates more to a wide receiver 1. Although you hear the comps between Waddle and Tyreek Hill, that's pretty enticing to take. But I think Bateman's a little lower risk guy.
Yep. Go ahead, Nate.
All right. I'm going to take the other end of that. I'm going to go ahead and take Jalen Waddle here. Rick just said it. That speed, that upside is just so high. I'm willing to take a chance on it here.
So looks pretty good. This is pretty consensus with the Carter thing jumping in here right now. Okay. A lot of people have Waddle a lot higher here. So let's see where this goes from here. Go ahead, Rick, 1.10.
Yeah. I know I'm getting the wrap on this, so I'm thinking I'm taking the maybe the best quarterback here that's come out in a long time. I'm going to go Trev.
Great pick right there.
I thought about that at 109. I think this is about the time that we're going to see him go.
I'm thinking 109, 110 is where his ADP and rookie drafts is going to be in standard format. That's a great pick right there. 111.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and grab another wide receiver, I'm happy with Rondale Moore here. The upside, and once again, is huge. Waddle and Moore, they're kind of scary draft picks because I think they both have a good bust ability chance because they do rely on athleticism more than technique, but they're both really good at what they do. And, in a good landing spot, I think we're going to see some real production out of those guys.
They said that about a certain wide receiver in Seattle a couple years ago, by the way, with the athleticism and little football challenge that didn't work out like that. Okay, on the wrap, buddy.
The wrap.
Heather.
All right,
Heather. You know what the wrap is? I explained this to Heather today. What's the wrap?
Oh, well, now you're going to go it backwards.
Right.
Reverse order.
Correct. That's the snake draft, right, Heather?
Yes.
Thank you, Heather. Go ahead, Ricky.
I am going Terrence Marshall here. Again,
Okay.
I think he's pro ready, and he could be the Justin Jefferson type of guy, in my opinion.
Now, let me freeze you there before the screen freezes me.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a detriment to him landing in Nateville, Baltimore? Talk to me about it, Nate.
No, not at all. Maybe he doesn't have the upside that he would have if he landed I don't know, as the wide receiver one on some pass happy team.
Right.
But I think if Lamar Jackson gets the top wide receiver, he's going to be fantasy relevant. I think there's touchdowns there. Maybe not as many receptions as some other teams, but I think Lamar, if he gets a good receiver to throw to, because I don't think Marquise Brown's a good wide receiver one for a football team.
Right.
So if Terrace Marshall lands there, I have no worries about it. I'm actually going to be really excited about it, not only for my football team, but also for the fact that you're going to see Marshall's ADP drop, and you can take advantage of that.
Is that a problem for Mr. Andrews if Marshall ends up there?
Maybe a little bit in the touchdown department, but I think the team is good enough on offense to support those two guys, and then every now and then Marquise Brown.
Okay. Ricky, 2.01.
2.01. I'm going with the best back left. After I got Marshall, I'm going Gainwell here.
So I'm going here?
You are. That would be the snake part of the draft, Heather. Yes.
Oh, is it Rick?
Kenneth Gainwell.
Yeah.
Probably about where he's going to go, right around that wrap. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and grab a running back here as well. I'm going to grab my RB5 in the class, and it's Trey Sermon. I'm going to really hope that the Trey Sermon that we get in the NFL is the Trey Sermon that we saw in the college football playoffs.
Where does he go in the draft? What rounds he go?
I think he's going to go third round.
I think so also. Okay.
I don't think he'll make it to day 3. I think the hype from the end of the season is going to be enough that gets him into the third round.
I agree. Go ahead, Rick. 2.03, starting to get tougher now.
It is. I got to pull up my list here for this one. Sermon was my next pick. And for this one, I'm going, it's more on hype and where people think he's going to go in the NFL draft. If he's truly is a back end first round, early second, he's definitely worth a second rounder. Elijah Moore. If somebody's paying that capital, they're gonna give him a chance to play.
Yep. And I bet you the next pick is going to be a similar situation. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, so Rick's not going to like this one, but I'm going to go ahead and pick the next wide receiver on my board, and that's Tylan Wallace. I like Tylan Wallace a lot, so I'm going to go ahead and take him here. I think he's going to end up being a day 2 pick, and I think he could find a nice landing spot.
It's a good pick. The only thing it does is it makes my use of him is in the sleeper segment pretty bad. 2.4.
Yeah, that's a pretty high draft capital. Go ahead.
I think he's gonna rise after the draft when he's a second, third round pick.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rick.
Okay, I'm actually going another quarterback here. I think that going Justin Fields and his potential upside
It's great
in these formats with the rushing, he could be the guys like Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, the guys are putting up 60, 70 yards, Lamar Jackson on the ground, and that's a huge advantage for somebody.
Sure is. It sure is.
Yeah. Rick's taking all my quarterbacks. I was thinking between Fields and Wallace for the last pick. I was thinking Waddle and Trevor with the one before that.
Hey Nate, we're not bringing in just another Gray Wall to pick against you right here, buddy. This Gray Wall's got some chops to him.
He's pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab Diami Brown. I'm gonna stick with the wide receivers. I think Diami Brown is another good talent. He's a guy that actually profiles to be more than just a field stretcher. If he can continue to develop his route running and hands, he's a guy that Sam Howell out of UNC really relied on, and I think he's going to be another post draft riser.
Interesting. Go ahead.
Okay. Next one, a bit of a homer pick, but it goes with what I said about Pitts getting a tight end in this format. I'm going Freiermuth here.
Yep. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, so it starts getting a little tricky here for me, but I'm going to take a chance on a running back who's very athletic. I'm going to go with Chuba Hubbard. Not super high on him, but I think this is another guy that's going to be a post-draft riser for a lot of dynasty football players. I think Chuba's going to be a day 2 pick because of his ability to get down the field. And at 208, I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, that's a good pick. He's the toughest guy to figure out in this draft.
I think so.
The tale of 2 seasons. I have no idea what to do with him.
Go ahead, Rick. Who you got?
I'm going a bit of maybe a reach here. Kadarius Toney. I think if he gets in the right system, could put up some big numbers.
I could tell you right now, if he gets drafted in the first round, okay, he's going to be around the wrap.
Yep.
Telling you.
Yeah,
I agree.
He'll be around the wrap. Go ahead, Nate. 210.
Yeah, 210. I'm going to go ahead and take make sure I get myself a quarterback here. I'm going to get Zach Wilson. He's going to be the number 2 overall pick in the draft, and this is not the Adam Gase Jets. So I like the upside there. He's a gunslinger. He's going to have a decent team around him with the Jets. They have the draft picks to continue to build. So I'm be pretty happy with this one.
Yeah, especially if they I guess a couple of mocks I saw today had them grabbing a running back at their 24th pick.
Yeah, something like that.
I saw a lot of that. So, if they draft a high-end running back, that always takes the heat off of a rookie quarterback. And, they're probably heading in the right direction. Joe Douglas, they're pretty sharp guy. And I have them starting to turn it around a little bit. Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, here I'm going someone I don't know a lot about, but the experts seem to like him, but Amon St. Brown.
We haven't talked about him. Talk to us about him, Nate.
Yeah, so I'm in Ross St. Brown. I think he's a guy that's going to be kind of limited to the slot. He's a guy I could see playing the Z position, kind of like that Deontay Johnson role. I could see him doing that at the next level. So he's a bit smaller. He's a guy that's going to rely on volume. He's not going to offer a lot after the catch. So I think this guy's talented, but not talented enough to be a top receiver without a lot of volume. So Lennox spot will be important for him.
Finish it up, buddy.
And I'm going to get myself a tight end too. I like Brevin Jordan a lot. I'm very happy with him at the end of the second round. He is more athletic than he tested based on the film. And he's a guy that's produced since day one. As I said before, I like Brevin Jordan. I think his stock's dropped a little bit, so he might be the 3rd tight end off the board, maybe in the 4th if people really like Hunter Long. But I think Brevin Jordan offers a lot for fantasy football.
So pretty interesting to me. A lot of stuff I probably where I'm going. I'm probably going Lawrence right around there. Value-wise, upside-wise, longevity-wise. I like that. The quarterback picks are very interesting to me here because I think that the Herbert syndrome is going to creep in this year, okay, where he was, disrespected in the draft. 212, 3-4, you were getting him. 3-7, you were getting him. I don't think that's going to happen this year. I think that he, drove some stuff into people's minds. Burrow was Burrow, so he was, going higher, but Herbert wasn't. So what he was, not the QB1 coming out last year, and Fields isn't QB1, Wilson's not QB1. I think people are a little gun shy, and they're going to be drafting these guys a little earlier. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we don't want to miss out, and we see what a good quarterback can do if you're a dynasty team, even in one quarterback leagues. And like I said before, every single one of these top 5 quarterbacks has the potential to be a big fantasy impact guy.
It's really cool to look at this. Heather, you make sure you screenshot this for us because we'll post this up on Twitter. What's that?
Yeah.
We'll post this up.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I am.
It's going to be really fun to look at this in about 4 days. And you'll be able to move these pieces of the puzzle a lot. I think the biggest thing for me in looking at this is especially in the FFPC world, I'm not going to be surprised to see Pitts go 2. I really think he could go 2-3 a lot in FFPC. What do you think, Rick?
I agree with you. I think the hype on him, you've seen in the startups, he's in second round now in some cases, well ahead of ETN. I think it's going to come down really to what people's rosters look like at that point, because it's just as hard to find a starting running back.
Okay, so let me clear it up. Najee, what's that, baby? What team do you see Pitts going to? Atlanta Bears. So Scott, we're going to talk. I'm going to ask him a very similar question, and then I'll let Nate answer that. But so Najee goes to Pittsburgh. Now let me switch that around. ETN goes to Pittsburgh. Najee goes to the Jets. Pitts goes to Atlanta. Okay, does that move the pieces of the puzzle at all?
No, I'm still Najee, ETN, then Pitts. I think the positional value isn't there for tight end to be the 101 or the 102 if we're trying to be really smart about it. I mean, if you need a tight end, you got everywhere else, you're good. You're a championship team, just need a tight end. I don't mind Pitts that early, but we've seen the tight ends take a while to develop. I like Pitts. I think he can be there day one, but
oh man, frozen again.
Man, it is hard for tight ends to just be so dominant. We don't see a Travis Kelce, a George Kittle, a Darren Waller that often. So, I mean, I like Pitts, but I'm not ready to overdraft him on the hype.
So you're sticking with Najee, even if Javonte ends up in Pittsburgh. Najee's your guy. If Najee ends up with the Jets and Javonte ends up in Pittsburgh, that's your guy. Okay, you're going talent, and like we talked about earlier, that's your 101.
Unless Najee ends up in the 3rd round with like the Seattle Seahawks behind Chris Carson, yeah, I'm going Najee.
Go on.
No, you're there, Nels.
I heard nothing, so I'm assuming you're done talking here.
Yep.
Done nothing.
Nate, can you email him everything you're saying? Just shoot him a quick email.
Rick's been writing all this shit down, so I'll just get a copy of Rick's notes and I'll move on from there.
Yep. Cool thing is you can watch these back on the internet. So
right.
You're good now.
Still hear me spinning around and saying nothing. This has been a good show. I'm too worn out. Hey, Nate, my brother, I thank you so much for coming on tonight, man. We were really excited to have you, and we're cutting out. Next week will be our last show. We're doing like a 13-week kind of season thing here. And then hopefully you'll grace us with your presence next year and come on back because, man, it's been great having you on.
Yeah, like I said, I love being here. I love talking rookies. You guys are doing a great thing, so I'm glad to be part of it. NFL draft is Thursday. It's Christmas. I'm so ready for it. You can follow me over at, where is it? Nate NFL on Twitter. I've been doing my 30 days, 30 prospects for the past 30 days, coming up to the NFL draft. So rookies doesn't end with the draft. We have a lot more to go before the season starts. So
it's awesome. Heather, I think we missed a commercial earlier, so our sponsors probably pissed at us. Give us a commercial of what the hell's going on around here, will you?
Yeah, they actually messaged and said they were pulling all funding from the show. But anyway, Dynasty Depot season 12 or episode 12 is brought to you by Dynasty Depot. Sorry, Livish. I'm messing all up because I couldn't find my paper. Dynasty Depot, the world's only auction site for buying and selling FFPC Dynasty teams. Over 500 Dynasty fanatics and over 1,000 teams sold. You're sure to stay busy in the offseason. Every team purchased on Dynasty Depot hits our leaderboard with a shot at 1 of 4 FFPC main event seats, giving you a chance at $500,000. Go to DynastyDepot.com. Use the promo code NERDS50. You will get 50% off a Dynasty Depot annual membership plus a free Dynasty Nerds membership.
That is awesome. Heather, awesome. It is. It's a great program. By the way, those guys over there, since we did a little back and forth with those guys, they've been great with us. We're getting a ton of Nerds people onto our site, and they're buying up those cheap teams, Rick, man. It's tough to keep those dollar teams on there, man. Nerds guys are sucking them up pretty good. Heather, socially, where can somebody find Fantasy Heather in the Dynasty Depot? Oh, man, somebody. Thanks, JD.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Where are we? There you go. We are on Twitter and YouTube at The Dynasty Depot and also on Facebook and Instagram. I do have to give a quick little, this was not on the program, but my girlfriend, her birthday is tomorrow. Katie. She's my biggest fan. She's called my fan friend. Why did it go away?
Is she going to be a Las Vegas production assistant
now I'm freezing.
in our live shows, Heather?
Okay. What?
Okay. Is she going to be a production assistant in Las Vegas?
Yes, she will be. Most definitely.
Excellent. We need. We're going to be doing live shows in Vegas.
That's going to be awesome.
September. Yeah. We'll bring our shit out there and see what happens. Next week, the finale, the suspense, the drama, Dynasty Depot live-ish season finale. 6-hour show next week, guys. We're coming on at 6 o'clock. We're not. Look at Rick. I have a heart attack.
I'm out.
We have on next week the football diehard crew. Bob Harrison, John Laub coming on. Going to be a lot to say. We're going to probably get into some more music, and this will be a post-draft show. We're going to know the landing spots. Heather is going to put them into cities, landing planes in cities next week. We're going to know all this shit, and it's very exciting. It is. So until next week, for Nate, thank you, my man, Ricky T, Fantasy Heather. I'm Nels. We're out. See you next week. Peace.
You've been listening to the Dynasty Depot podcast, the best source for what's hot in Dynasty Fantasy Football team action. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at the Dynasty Depot. And listeners get a 30-day free rookie membership. Go to DynastyDepot.com and use promo code PODCAST. Dynasty Depot. Bid, buy, sell, dominate.